Joined now by our guys, J.D. Smith, T-Bone from 97.1 The Fan, and by former players Rick Smith and George Reese. Rick, the Buckeyes, the 2 seed, knocked off by the 15 seed Oral Roberts. Your overall take, what the heck happened?
Well, I told y'all, don't turn your back on any of these teams last week. And this is an example of I think, people taking on more than they should have. I think Dwayne got a little bit crazy and forgot that there were 4 other guys on the floor that could help him and tried to take on a little bit too much. I think that the absence of Kyle Young was huge. And you see what you get. You got to show up.
George, after the game, E.J. Liddell received some over-the-top comments on social media. I will not even call whoever sent him fans because fans don't talk like that. Completely uncalled for, ridiculous. I want your thoughts on what he received. And when you played, obviously, I don't know that we really social media, we didn't deal with it when you guys were playing. But did you ever get anything like that when you played?
I think the difference from our era is those people would run up on you in person while you're out in public. It was, it was different from hiding behind a keyboard or hiding behind a Twitter handle. So it's just interesting how that guy, EJ, All-American, all Big Ten first team, and they want to go out and attack that guy when he's given nothing but his heart and soul to this Buckeye team. Just goes to show you that some fans are just never satisfied, and hopefully they find out who it is.
Yeah, well, once again, I won't even call him a fan. JD, that's the problem with social media, isn't it? You got keyboard tough guys that can say anything. And, for all we know, it was a burner account. Who knows? But there doesn't seem to be any repercussions. You can say, people feel like they can say whatever they want. And that was simply not, it was uncalled for and just over the top, out of line.
Yeah, well, I mean, in our business, we criticize, we talk about players and say this guy didn't do a good job, and certainly there are things we could look at in anybody's game and say, well, this didn't go well today for that player, or he could have done a better job. Chris Holtmann deserved criticism, I think, after that game for some of the coaching decisions he made. But those are legitimate criticisms made about sports because at the end of the day, we realize this is entertainment. I mean, for the players, for a lot of us as fans, there's that competition aspect that we take seriously as well. But at the end of the day, if we all just decided this didn't matter, they wouldn't play these games, right? I mean, like this exists for our entertainment. And when you're at a level where you're going to reach out to somebody on social media and say things that vile, I hope they find who these people are. And I hope they ban them from sporting events in this state, all of them, pro sports, college sports for 20 years, because you need a timeout. That's what I tell my kids. If you're taking this so seriously, if you're getting so mad about something, you need a timeout so you can just refocus. And clearly anybody that would send something like that to a player, college or pro, and say those type of things, they don't need to be involved in sports right now because they need to look at something else in life and get refocused.
And, Rick, the bottom line is no one wants to win more than the players. No one wants to win more than the coaches. I mean, they're the ones that put in all the hard work. And yes, being a quarterback, Monday quarterback, and second guessing decision, that's all part of sports. But what those folks did, it was just completely out of line and over the top. Let's talk a little X's and O's, and we'll take a look. The old saying goes, Rick, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. That really hurt Ohio State. They were not very good shot making.
Yeah, the shot selection, some of the shots that they missed early, ended up shooting at that level. What were they, 5 of 23 from the 3-point land, and then being 9 of 18 from the free throw line. That's where we've made our bread and butter, making those free throws, and to end up short in both those areas. When you live and die by those areas, it showed where we lacked.
George, a week ago, I said this team would go as far as Dwayne Washington Jr. takes them. He did not have that great of a game in that contest. What would you say to him if you were his coach right now? Because he tried like crazy out there. It just, some of it's decision making and some of it's basketball. The ball doesn't always go in.
If I was his coach right now, you definitely want to be positive to a kid like that. I think that wears his emotions on the sleeve. But one thing is that you want to go break down film, because if you look at the second half of the season, he definitely got some games where he had some 30-point games, but he needs to be more efficient. If you want to try to play hero ball and get it, you have to get it done. The step back to the win the game that he missed, and then the wide open 3-pointer at the top of the key to send it into overtime. So if you want to wear that mantle of being the guy for the Ohio State University, you got to be more efficient and you got to knock down the shots. And you see his efficiency goes down when teams play him a different way. But I think that's just all a part of his maturation and his overall game as he gets older.
All right, this is for all you guys, but I want to start with you, JD, first. Two high seeds, Ohio State at 2, Illinois at 1. They're both out. I'm seeing on social media, well, the Big Ten was overrated. What do you say to that, JD?
It's hard. It's hard not to at least give that thought, because clearly Illinois is anybody in the country, and the Ohio State took them to overtime. The Big Ten championship game showed that Ohio State was able to find ways as well late in games. I don't think if you had said this time a week ago that we'd be talking about both those teams being out. I think most people would be shocked by that. So I don't think it's unfair to at least raise that question, but I still think the Big Ten Conference, maybe the other way to look at it is, did the Big Ten wear out these teams and they got to the tournament and just were gassed? I don't think that's likely, but it's hard to explain it for sure. And I do think the Big Ten Conference is still the best in basketball, despite what we just saw in this tournament.
George, Rick, overrated, not overrated?
I don't think they're overrated. I mean, I think we spent all year beating each other up, and you come down to tournament time and you're playing teams that you're not familiar with. And, it's a roll of the dice. Like I said last week, don't turn your back on Oral Roberts. They got some great players, and we just weren't there and ready to play that game.
I'm sure Rick and Tom Clancy will love that quote of the difference between fiction and reality. And the reality is the Big Ten is the best conference in all of basketball. They're just not having a good NCAA tournament, but you know how it gets more momentum and Twitter fingers just trying to jump on the backs of the Big Ten. But definitely beat up on each other all year. They're definitely the best conference in the country.